All right, we're about to tackle a huge question, maybe one of the biggest. How much money is there in the entire world? It sounds almost impossible to answer, doesn't it? But we're actually going to figure it out. So let's just dive right in.
No, seriously, have you ever just stopped and wondered about that? If you could take every single dollar, every stock, every house on the planet, and stack it all up in one giant pile, just how big would that pile be? Well, you can stop wondering, because we're going to do the math right here.
Now, to wrap our heads around these enormous numbers, we're going to think about it a little differently. Picture all the world's wealth like a giant Lego tower. Yeah, a Lego tower. We're going to start with the tiniest little bricks and just keep stacking one by one until we see the whole thing.
Okay, but before we start building, we have to ask, what is money, really? Because it's not just the cash in your wallet. Most of the money out there, it's not even physical. It's just ones and zeros on a bank's computer server. The actual paper bills and metal coins you can touch, that's just the tip of a gigantic digital iceberg.
So let's start with that physical stuff, the cash. If you took every bill, every coin from every wallet, every cash register, every piggy bank on Earth, you'd have about $9 trillion. And yeah, that sounds like a ton of money, but for our Lego tower, that's our very first and, believe it or not, smallest brick.
Okay, our foundation is down. Now it's time to really start stacking. We're moving on from the physical stuff to the digital assets, the things you can buy and sell online with the click of a button. Our next break is a pretty new kid on the block, cryptocurrencies. You can think of Bitcoin and all the others like, super high-tech digital trading cards. Altogether, they're worth about $2.7 trillion. Now, that's insane growth for sure, but as you're going to see, it's still a really small part of the big picture. Next up, from the new to the very, very old, gold. Humanity's treasure for, well, forever. If you gathered up every single ounce of gold ever mined in history, its value would hover around $33 trillion. But here's the wild part. All of that gold would only fill a few Olympic-sized swimming pools. That's how incredibly dense this value is. Okay, let's hit pause for a second and just look at what we've built. This chart really puts it in perspective, doesn't it? You can see our little pile of cash, the even smaller crypto pile, and then, bam, that much bigger stack of gold. We're making progress, but trust me, we are just getting warmed up. You're going to want to brace yourself for this next part, because the next few Lego bricks we're about to add, they are absolutely gigantic. We're talking about the engine of the entire global economy and, well, the very places we all live. First, let's talk about the world's stock markets. Altogether, they're worth about $150 trillion. And what is that really? It's a tiny piece of ownership in basically every big company you can think of. The company that made the phone you might be watching this on, the car you drive, it's all in that number. And now, for the single biggest, heaviest, most massive Lego brick in our entire tower, real estate. Every house, every apartment building, every farm, every skyscraper, all the land, add it all up, you get a mind-boggling $393 trillion. Think about that. It's worth more than all the world's stocks and all the gold combined. So, here we are. We've stacked it all up. The cash, the crypto, the gold, the stocks, and that giant pile of real estate. And what's our grand total? The total wealth of planet Earth comes out to roughly $500 trillion. And get this. If you could magically split that evenly among every single person alive, that's about $65,000 for every man, woman, and child. Okay, so that $500 trillion tower, that's the wealth, right? That's the stuff people actually own. But there are other gigantic numbers in finance that don't really fit in our tower. We're talking about things like yearly income, all the debt in the world, and, well, some absolutely enormous side bets.
Let's start with GDP. You've probably heard that term, gross domestic product. The easiest way to think of it is like the world's annual salary, or its yearly allowance. It's the value of all the new stuff that gets made and sold in one year. And that's about $126 trillion. So it's not a static pile of wealth, it's a flow of money. Kind of like the total sales of a global lemonade stand for 1 year.
Then there's debt. Everybody owes somebody something, right? Well, if you add up all the debt in the world, from governments, companies, and regular people like us, you get about $348 trillion. Now, this isn't a pile of money we have now. It's more like a promise to pay money in the future, usually to build something today. And now for maybe the wildest, most confusing number in all of finance, derivatives. The simplest way I can put it is this. They're basically side bets. Imagine you and a friend bet $1,000 on who's going to win a video game. You write that down on a piece of paper. That paper now represents $1,000, but the money isn't actually real unless someone loses the bet and has to pay up. And that's the key right here. The face value of all those paper bets out there, what's called the notional value, is an absolutely insane $846 trillion. But the actual money at risk, if those bets go wrong, the market value, is only about $22 trillion. It's a huge difference, and that's exactly why we don't put this number in our Lego tower. It's not wealth, it's a giant web of promises about wealth.
So we did it. We built our $500 trillion tower. But that brings up a really important question. Who owns all the Lego bricks? And as you can probably guess, it's not split up very evenly at all.
Yeah, this chart really says it all. Get this, just 1.6% of the adults on this planet, that's about 60 million people, own almost half of everything, half of our entire tower. And if you look at the top 10%, they own the vast majority of it. It's a tower that we all helped build, but it's owned by a pretty small group of people at the top.
Let's break that down a bit.
The single richest person in the world has somewhere around $840 billion. All the billionaires in the world combined, they've got about 20 trillion. But, and this is the part that might surprise you, it's the world's 60 million everyday millionaires who actually hold the biggest chunk. Together, they own over $235 trillion. That's nearly half of everything right there.
So we've measured all the money on Earth. But what about the money that isn't on Earth yet? Let's finish up by looking at a source of future wealth that is quite literally astronomical.
Just look at that number. That's $700 quintillion. That's a 7 followed by 20 zeros. It's the estimated value of the precious metals locked inside just one asteroid called 16 Psyche. That is so much more money than exists on our entire planet, it's hard to even comprehend. We're talking about a floating treasure chest that could literally change everything we think we know about wealth. So there you have it. We stacked the tower, all $500 trillion of it. We saw who owns the bricks, and we even peeked at a treasure chest in the stars. And it all comes down to this one last thought. If all the money in the world is really just a giant box of Legos, what will you build?